There's never been more content, more posts, more emails, more sales messages. AI can make almost anything sound polished. But the words can sound right and nothing lands. Nobody clicks, nobody replies, nobody remembers what you said.
Today, we're unpacking how language changes behaviour, why some words reduce uncertainty and make action feel easier, why vague or familiar language creates more effort for the reader.
If your work involves persuading someone to click, buy, respond, or take a next step, this one matters.
Welcome to ThinkShift, the podcast where neuroscience meets business.
Hey Leanne, how you doing?
Yeah, good. How you going, Clint?
I'm good. The specs.
I've got my
noticed them. Oh my God.
Shock horror.
Yeah, wow.
I know, and I've got my
Great.
bonkers t-shirt.
Bonkers t-shirt.
I'm feeling a bit bonkers today.
Yeah.
I know I've got this, but I thought I'd read the speckies.
They look good.
Yeah,
And we're back in the land of our colours. We got no more Inferno behind us. We're back to
We've
just
got
good
out.
old comfortable ThinkShift brand.
That's right.
Yeah.
We managed to get from downstairs, out of the Inferno,
We did,
back
yeah.
on safe ground.
For those that aren't aware that this podcast is also on video,
Yes.
check it out.
Yeah.
On Spotify, it's on video. It's also on YouTube in video. When Apple does that, that'd be great because they used to do video. And you can check us out. You can see us in the red.
That's right.
Which is
Because
cool.
we were talking about scamming.
We were. So it was appropriate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What colour is more appropriate than red for scam, do you think?
Yeah, I know. Red flag, red light, warning. Will
Warning.
Robinson.
It's the warning colour.
Yeah.
And we talked about colour psychology before.
Yeah, we did.
We did. Check that one out too. It was about 10 episodes ago.
Today, it's all about words.
It is. So the science behind words have moved people. We're talking about that today. And let's just go straight into the science. So language is more than transfer information. It helps the brain decide whether something feels relevant, credible, and safe to act on. Leanne, what's happening when we process language?
So we look for something that is relatable, that we can reference. We try and extract its real meaning and, patterns. So patterns of words, language, syllables, things that remind us and make it easily recognisable that we can understand. So any kind of shortcuts.
Right.
And also there's, phonetics. So we often, when we read words, I mean, obviously like we're reading and we're out loud, but phonetics is when we have that internal voice.
Right.
And we often, we do it more than we realise. It's subconscious. But when we do that, it's what makes us feel comfortable and how we understand the words and the language that we're reading.
So is that reading something in your own voice?
Yeah.
As opposed to, Morgan Freeman narrating voice? Like quite often you will do that. Sometimes. Oh, I do anyway. When, particularly audiobooks, there's a bunch of good books out there that are narrated by the actual author of the book.
Yeah.
And then you obviously, when they're not saying it, you go away and read it, but in their voice, right? Is that a similar...
Sort of, but you've been triggered and anchored by the actual voice. This is when it's any voice and not necessarily
And it
a
defaults to
voice
you.
that you hear. It's you. Yeah.
Yes.
It's you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a term called processing fluency.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, and that's simply around the ease of understanding. So processing information, processing language, words, syllables, patterns of certain words, the flow and the rhythm of sentences and language as well. And the easier it is, the better the fluency.
Right.
Think about, when you're reading, a book or reading a blog, or even when we put our show notes together for the podcast, we want it to be, the readability is really important. And it's not so much around the way that what the words are saying, but it's how they dance together paragraph by paragraph to give meaning. So it's not just about the words themselves, it's how the words create an environment together.
So fluency doesn't mean something's true, it just means it's easier to process.
Easier to process.
so-
It may not be true.
And I know we spoke about scamming in our last episode, but I imagine this kind of fluency is super important for scammers, right?
100%.
Tapping into that precise language use.
So the easier it is to understand, the more legitimate it seems, the more real it seems, the more authority it has, the more we trust it. Our brain is processing it more easily, And so we're not going through as many challenges and obstacles to understand the meaning. It's easier for us, so it must be true.
Okay. I have another term here, and I'd like you to kind of run through its meaning. Linguistic concreteness. What does that mean?
Instead of linguistic fogginess, or what would be the opposite?
Linguistic body of water. I don't know.
Yeah. Linguistic runniness. So again,
Gooiness?
gooiness, yeah. Linguistic concreteness as opposed to linguistic gooiness. Concreteness is stability. Actually, all jokes aside, right? It is around concrete and gooey. Gooey, I guess, linguistic. I mean, that isn't a term, we just made that up, but it would be around the fluidity
I'll
of.
coin that though.
Yeah,
I'm going to write that down.
I know.
Set the website up.
Absolutely. Or we can it'd be word of the year.
Word of the
Word
year.
of the year, yeah. So linguistic gooiness. So concreteness is stability, the meaning that it has behind it, that it's very clear, it's compelling, we understand it. There's no misinterpretation around what, linguistically what the words are saying. Where if we were talking about gooiness, it'd be fluff.
Right. There's no abstraction.
No abstraction. It's not fluffy.
There's no
There's
vagueness.
not as open to interpretation.
Is vagueness a word?
Vagueness is a word.
Vagueness. It's not vagity.
No, it's not vagueness. It's
definitely vagueness.
We can make that up too.
We can make it up.
We could add that one to the dictionary also.
So just a good example here, flexible customer support is abstract.
Yes.
Speak to our Sydney team by phone or live chat.
Yes.
Is concrete.
Is concrete. So it's what do you want your customers to do? We talk all the time around being too abstract and too gooey around, get the customer to call you. About what? What do you want them to do? To call about what is the call about? Book a call on your website? No, book a design consultation. Book a business strategy meeting. What is it that you actually want?
Yeah.
What that concreteness, which is basically knowing the consumer understanding exactly what they're going to be getting by reading those words.
Yeah. We're going to go through some really great examples of this in a little bit, particularly around calls to action and, what's the best use of your buttons on your website, should say, and all the rest of it.
And use for social media too, right? When you do your CTAs.
Calls to actions, yep. Key point here, does shorter always mean better? No,
Nope.
it doesn't. Shorter and clearer are not the same thing.
Correct.
Submit is short. Send my application is clearer. So it's a prime example there of call to action.
And this is where some design techniques come in, where people will say, no, I want a button or particular, aesthetic to look concise, but at what expense?
Yeah.
Yeah, being gooey rather than
Being
concrete.
gooey rather than concrete, yeah. Now I'm going to talk about briefly around AI writing and how it's starting to lose its power. And I know we've touched on AI a few times now, particularly in the last episode, we did mention it and how there is an AI platform that adds boo-boos, right, to grammar. Purposely to make it look more human, right? So anyone can generate a professional message in seconds now, and with the addition of this technology, you can make it look more human. When everything sounds polished stops signaling expertise, and readers start recognizing the format before they engage with the idea. LinkedIn is now actively deprioritizing generic formulaic content for exactly this reason, and I have not yet seen this, but have you seen this with your LinkedIn feed? I have not seen that.
Not really.
No, it hasn't started to. No. They've said they are.
Yeah, but I haven't seen it in action though.
No.
I'm on the lookout.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, but no. It will be interesting how people accept it actually when it does happen on LinkedIn and what people do about it.
I feel like every time there's a mention of AI, those posts get filtered to the top. Everyone wants to hear about it. Oh, what's the latest? What's going on?
But there's quite a lot of saturation that's
happening. I feel like
happening
it's so saturated. I just zone out now.
Yeah.
So here we go, another hot take.
Yeah, but also our world is full of AI too, right?
Yeah.
And we teach this stuff as well. So we have to be on top of it. And so we're overloaded with it.
Overloaded.
Where a lot of other
Be interested to know what others are seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah, and actually, that's a good question. And let us know, and even send us a message or pop in the chat in the comments. Are you overloaded with AI? Are you seeing it everywhere to a point where you're starting? I mean, we know it's everywhere, but to a point where you're starting to tune out or not take as much notice. And I'd really be, and you would be too, really interested in knowing your take on this, because I am now looking at AI very differently.
Yeah. Yeah. And as soon as I see the first few words that are like AI specific, I tend to scroll past it, and it could be to my detriment. I could be missing out on something really important. But now I feel like those hot takes in a LinkedIn feed are probably not as important as a news article on it, or you know what I mean? I'm feeling like the power of that, or the authority of those posts, is now diminished just due to saturation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, especially if we're talking about LinkedIn, and this is from my own personal experience, posting versus a newsletter or an article that you publish. I mean, a newsletter or an article goes gangbusters.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It does the opposite for me.
Really? Yeah. And from impressions to comments to everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bigger on the articles.
Maybe I'm more concrete in my wording than you.
Could be. I might be using a whole bunch of vagueness.
You could be. Might be too gooey. But I find, and I think because the intent around it, like the type of consumer is different, and the intent around it is, well, I'm going to, read and get something that's meaty out of it, where a post, you sort of glance over it.
Okay.
So it's, the intent is very different. But I do find that both my newsletters, The Scoop and Brainy Bites, all my my published articles on there do get a lot more traction.
Interesting.
Yeah, than the posts.
Something to look into.
To look into, yeah.
Okay. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to ThinkShift on all the social channels so you don't miss out on what shift is coming up next. Let's move on to where wording changes behavior in business. So language shits.
Tristan, language shits.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Language sits at every decision point in the customer journey. So headlines, calls to action, forms, emails, sales conversions, and conversations, and so on. Let's talk about how vague language affects headline. So the visitor can't quickly work out what the business does, I would say.
Yeah.
That is a common one.
Yeah, we see that all the time.
All the time. I think I mentioned this a few podcasts ago around this. And it needs to say what's on the tin. What is on the tin says what's going on inside, right?
Correct.
So what do? I do this. Great. Now I know what you do, instead of the vague fluffiness.
Yes, we empower people to create strategy, to grow the business.
Scroll past.
Oh my gosh!
Correct.
I always say when I'm teaching this in the course, when people come around do their positioning statements, and they're very fluffy in the way that they come up with their wording, especially with their positioning statements. And I say, so what?
Yeah.
So does your competitor. I want you to tell me exactly what it is that you do that makes you different from your competitor. You need to be specific.
Be specific, yep. The visitor has to search elsewhere for meaning, which costs attention the business hasn't earned yet, which is the key point there.
That's right.
They're scrolling going, I'm out. Like, I don't understand what you do, therefore I'm out.
Yep.
You probably find the bounce rate on those, particularly on websites, will be quite high due to that vagueness. You're going to see a lot of people dropping off and just leaving before they even get into the meat of what you offer and what you're about. So I like this one because we're going to be talking about what makes a call to action actually work. I think that's an interesting topic. Leanne, what does it? What makes it work?
It's got to be meaningful. It's got to be relevant. It's got to be easy to understand, and it's got to be something quick.
And it describes the next step, right?
Describes the next step.
Straight away.
What do you want me to do?
Yep.
What is it that you want me to do? Yeah, and this is where, I just gave the example around booking a call. Book a discovery call. No, don't book a discovery call. Book a strategic engagement, or book a marketing plan call. Like, what is it that the person actually is going to get? What is it that they want? They don't want to be discovered. I don't want to be discovered.
No, don't find out more. Or
want to learn more. I do have, I actually do, because on my website, well, you did it. You designed it. But when the learn more is expand. So
Expanding on a
to
thought.
learn, and to learn more. So that's okay. But when it's like, book call, discovery call, that just does my head in. I don't want to discover. I actually have a problem that needs solving. You need to discover.
Right.
It's actually the other way around.
Years ago, I had a call to action, though, a long time ago, and it was break the ice.
Oh, that's great.
Do you like that, or is it a bit
No, I like that.
gooey?
It is gooey, but it's salient. So that's another bias, right?
Yes.
So salient, or what we call the isolation effect or the von Restoff effect, which is when something stands out from the norm, it captures our attention and becomes compelling. That, even though it is gooey, it is compelling, it is salient. So you leverage salient bias there.
I might have to go back and add that in.
Put it on neurodesign.
Put it on Neurodesign. Okay, we will do that.
I think that's great.
If you're listening to this, check out the Neurodesign website, and it should be there.
Yeah. And if not, tell Clint to pull his socks up.
Yes, go and update that. Like, what have you been doing all day, honestly? Okay. What makes a call to action actually work? We've just discussed that.
Also, it's around, the commitment that you want someone to make and the commitment that they're willing to make. So, it's around, do I want a brand discovery? No, not a brand discovery. I want to speak with a consultant. Do you want to speak with a brand consultant or a design consultant? Or do you speak with a neuroscientist?
Yeah. The only
I've even thought of having speak with a neuroscientist,
Right.
and because I want to speak with with someone who knows what they're talking about. I've jumped onto this website. I want to speak with Leanne or her team around a particular topic that is around applied neuroscience. I want to speak with someone qualified. I don't want to be discovered. I want to have a wholesome, meaningful conversation with someone who knows that can help me solve my problem.
Yeah. Before I go into some great call to action examples, other than my break the ice one, there's a
Which is cool.
There is a caveat around length of call to action. Needs to be able to fit on a button within a mobile browser, particularly important. Too many words, too long, the button will break over 2 lines. So whilst being direct and concrete is important, you need to make sure that the words fit, no more than maybe 3 words. 4 words, yeah.
Right.
Otherwise, problems on mobile devices particularly.
Right, okay.
So I got some good call to action examples here. So turning one into another, right? So from learn more to see how the process works.
Yep, good.
From get started to create your free account.
Nice.
From contact us to book a 20-minute project call, which you've already mentioned. Yeah. So looking now at email.
Sure.
How does wording affect email replies? Because that's a big area we haven't covered yet.
Yeah, so, oh, wow. We could do an entire season, not even
On email?
on email wording,
Yeah.
Around profiling and, understanding how that you construct sentences and phrases and your call to action, your subject line, the body of the email, everything. And, you want to capture someone's attention within that subject line. But
So important.
It is.
The subject.
But profiling and understanding, and we did an episode on profiling and dish profiling, in particular the indexed version that we use, because we've indexed the dish profiling framework around understanding what it is that a client actually wants. So putting together a subject line that might be direct or might be a little bit more, soften or emotional or sensitive or a bit of fun, depending on what the profile is. But it can't just be, meeting.
Yeah.
What do you want someone to do? It could be confirm meeting agenda,
Yes.
for instance.
Yes.
And don't make your subject line really long. One of my pet hates is when someone actually writes a sentence or gives me instruction to do something in the subject line of the email.
And it's what, like 20 words long? Or?
At least, because the thing is, I know it's like, that's so you don't have to click. So then you go into the email body, but you still need to click because it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
You still need to open it because you can't read it. So So again, length, intent, clarity, concreteness,
Honesty.
Got
a great example of this.
Yes.
In here. So
Yep.
a recent marketing email I got sent, it said in the subject line, get $300 gift. Get a $300 gift. And I was like, here we go. So I checked it, and you go through the actual email, and it was, if you apply it today, you get $300 off my course, and it brings it down to $800. I'm like, excuse me, that's not a gift. it's a discount,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
automatically I'm annoyed by that.
Yeah.
You're trying to pull the wool over. It's like what would you say, dark pattern adjacent?
Yeah, sort of. It's a mild dark pattern.
Mild, yeah.
But I mean,
Deceptive.
that is deceptive, but it's interesting because it sort of is.
It's a gift.
It sort of is.
Sort of is, but it's perception by consumer to whether or not it is or isn't.
Correct. So you're relying on the consumer,
on
the interpretation. And so that's a big risk. And that person took a big risk.
And it sounds dodgy,
it's icky.
icky.
Yeah.
Don't like it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just tell me what it is. It's a $300 discount.
Yep.
I'm not giving you a gift. Yeah.
That's
Because there's a different intent behind a gift, right?
Yeah.
That's where there's, this sense of reciprocity. We talk about, reciprocity as one of the 7 principles of persuasion by Robert Cialdini. And the reciprocity is that gift giving is one of them, where if, you give a gift, there's an obligation or you feel obligated to give something back. That you would, but there's no obligation here. It's a $300 discount. So if there was an actual gift, it'd be, oh, well, sure, I'll sign up.
Yes.
But if it was $300 discount on my course, you might go, well, hang on a minute, that's quite generous.
Yeah,
Let me have a look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a gift. It's a significant
reduction in cost. So again, honesty is right. And guys, use these techniques in your work and in what you offer, because it's, people aren't silly, consumers aren't silly. They interpretation is one thing, but perception is much more important.
And now more than ever, we're so used to this type of marketing, we just don't fall for it.
We don't.
High chance I wouldn't have opened that normally. Like a $300 gift, it sounds scammy already. Haven't even opened it, and already it's just another marketing email.
I think you opened it because you were intrigued about what it was about, and I reckon the intent or the intention behind it wasn't about wanting to get the gift.
It's more me looking at
what it is that they've done, that because we're
doesn't sit right.
Yeah, and because we're so attuned, to this. You're actually looking at it almost
Different
from
lens.
More of a research perspective rather than a personal gain.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I do so often, right? Every JB Hi-Fi email that comes in, I'm like, what have they done?
Yeah.
Show me. Anyway.
Is it good for the podcast?
Yes. Let's move on to how to use language that increases clarity and action. So the goal isn't to make every message blunt or to strip out personality. It's to help the reader understand what matters, why it matters, and what happens next. I've got a list here of some ways businesses should start reviewing their language, and I'm just going to run through those, and you can chime in at the appropriate time when I allow you to.
All-time appropriate for me.
At any time. Start at decision points, the places someone must click, choose, pay, or reply. Mm-hmm. Identify the questions they likely have at that moment, right?
Yep.
And then answer them. Remove wording that competes with the required action. I think that's really important, making sure there's a congruency between what you're telling them and what the action is that you want them to make.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Some good points there.
Some useful language rules I'm going to run through here. So use concrete nouns and active verbs, and name the real problem. Yep. Don't skip around it. Don't be gooey. Explain what happens next, as we've discussed in some good call to action examples. Don't confuse shorter with clearer. So a good example would be submit. Submit button.
Yeah, that was a good example.
It's very short, but is it clear?
Yeah. Submit what?
Submit what? Use AI to sharpen your thinking, not replace it, right? So, and we all do it. We pump it into AI. So what do you think? What are some ideas?
It's a great resource.
It's a great resource.
Yeah.
It's a soundboard and a blind spot checker.
Yep.
And I go on about this all the time.
Yeah, you use it a lot.
Blind spot checker.
Yeah.
It is really good at that.
Yeah.
But sometimes, if you're not careful, it can hallucinate and pick out blind spots that don't exist.
Hey,
So you've got to be onto it. Yeah.
That's why you need to have human input.
Human input. It's got to be there.
Yeah.
Someone behind the wheel steering the ship at all times.
Yeah.
Yep. So back onto the AI point, actually, here are some ways businesses can use AI without producing generic content. Start with your own thinking before asking AI to write. Give it a really good frame, a really good context. Leverage your own works, I would say, is a good thing too. So give it work you've already created to reference.
Yeah.
So it not only talks like you, sounds like you, but it's using your own intelligence to then provide answers based on that.
And also understanding, like we both have created AI agents that are us, right?
Yeah.
But it took a long time, and we had to feed it information. Again, as I call it, feeding the atlas. The atlas of information is there to be used in the right way,
Yeah.
but we need to give it the right information so then it can come up with the right output.
Yeah.
If the right information isn't there, like garbage in, garbage out.
My main concern, though, with all of this, and we probably haven't touched on this enough, is that your IP is going into these big learning models, and who's got access to that? They do, and then they're building systems and their software based on your thinking.
That's the trade-off, isn't it?
That's the trade-off. So, ethically, I have a bit of an issue with it.
Yes.
And, we haven't touched on theft of IP as in artistry, such as design service, artworks, music. There's a whole issue with all of that. So, and film.
Yeah, copyright infringement, all that sort of stuff, because you're putting, works into, you are
a learning machine.
You are, and you're voluntarily giving it the information.
Yeah.
You're not being held at gunpoint. You're going, here you go, take my stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then give it back to me, but you can keep it as well.
Only for me, though. Yeah, right. Doesn't work like that.
Doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole other area.
It is.
Give it real examples, as I said, constraints and evidence. Always. That's another thing too. Whenever, to avoid AI hallucinating, make sure that you ask it to give citation. Where's it getting this information from? So every time it gives you a point, ask it to give a citation, and you can put this into the learning part of Claude. I think you can put that into so it always does it each time, because quite often it'll come back with an answer, and then the citation will be Reddit. So someone from Reddit 6 years ago is given this, and you're like, okay, so that's not credible at all.
No.
Yeah, that's a problem. The other ones are tell it what you disagree with, which is a great one. Challenge it. Treat the first output as material to assess, not finished work. So it's just a rough draft that you can then take and then move on with. Give it strong context around you, as I mentioned, in your business. Transcriptions, brand, emails you've written, newsletters, posts and blogs, and all those things. If you're comfortable with your IP being scraped, that's the only caveat I would say to that, because we don't know where it's going.
No, we don't.
We don't.
And it's interesting because what is being done with it? I've had people, and you too, I know you've had people that have, they don't Google you anymore. They put you in AI. I mean, I was recently chairing a national conference at the casino, and, they do they read my bio out around all the things I've done, blah, 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 and people get to know me over the couple of days. And these are all C-suite, these are executives. And a number of people came up to me saying, oh, wow, you've done this, or, you didn't talk about this, but I see. And I'm like, yeah, was that on Google? And they said, no, we put you into AI.
Yeah,
and it came up with my entire profile and things about me.
Was it all good or some hallucinated?
No. As far as I don't know exactly, but from what they told me, it was correct. Okay. And what they saw. I don't know exactly what the output was, but I just thought that was a very interesting behaviour to think to, instead of Googling someone, putting that person into AI and seeing what the output was.
Got to be careful.
Now I'm thinking I should do that to myself.
Yep.
I'm actually going to say,
sure
hey, AI, what, if people search for me on your platform, what are you telling them? Actually, might even ask them that direct question and see what words, whether it's concrete or gooey, that actually comes up about me.
You could imagine the more high profile you are, the more BS would be about you out there. Potentially. You get a lot of fake news, fake profiles, deep fakes, just making up stuff. Suddenly you're Italian.
Yeah.
You're like, you just don't know what's going out there. Yeah. And I'd say that's a big problem moving forward.
We've got to watch that.
But here's the shift. Polished language is no longer hard to produce. AI can generate the structure and clean up the grammar, but polished words don't automatically create movement. People move when the message helps them recognize their situation, when the outcome feels clear, when the next step feels predictable. The better question isn't, how do we make this sound better? It's, what does this person need to understand before they can move? One action for the listener this week, pick one headline, call to action or email subject line you use regularly. Rewrite it to name the specific outcome instead of the general benefit. Send it this week and see what changes. And that's ThinkShift. I'm Clint.
I'm Leanne.
One idea, one shift in almost 30 minutes. If this episode changed how you think, share it with someone who makes decisions for a living.
And don't forget to follow ThinkShift on all the social platforms, like and subscribe so you don't miss out what shift is coming up next.
And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
This is a Marchmade Media production.